Tonight, York Regional Police say the long weekend is not off to a good start as officers make 3 impaired driving arrests before lunchtime.
That's a pretty concerning thing to see so early on a Friday going into the long weekend.
Police will be out in full force this unofficial last weekend of summer, cracking down on impaired and distracted drivers. Plus,
every customer should know that the gas has a carbon tax.
Not a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to them.
These anti-carbon tax stickers must now be displayed on all gas pumps. Gas station owners facing a fine if they don't comply. And the National Skydiving Championships kick off this weekend in Wasaga Beach, and one man is living up to the No Limits theme. Good evening, I'm Talia Ricci. York Regional Police say they're disappointed with how the Labor Day long weekend has started after making 4 arrests for impaired driving before 1 this afternoon.
These types of incidents, are something that we really hope to stop seeing on our roads, and they are entirely preventable by essentially just making the right decision and making other arrangements for your transportation if you're going to be drinking or using drugs.
Officers say one of the incidents was a 2-vehicle collision in Newmarket that sent people to hospital. Another call in King Township saw a driver and a passenger both passed out in a car. The first 3 arrests all happened before 10 a.m., with a 4th coming around 12:30 p.m. 2 people were arrested for impaired driving by drugs and the other 2 for alcohol. Police are asking all drivers to report suspicious driving and remain vigilant when on the roads. So some drivers obviously not getting the message when it comes to responsible driving, and Torontonians say they're having a tough time grasping why people are still taking the risk.
Maybe I think at the time when they're doing it, they think they can drive home safe, like they haven't had that much. Because you always think you can get away with it, I guess, because your house is only like 10 blocks away or whatever.
I think people don't think about it. I think they know it's wrong, and they kind of like Superman it, and they don't think it affects them. They think they're okay. They didn't really realize how impactful it can be.
They shouldn't, because there's a lot of opportunities now. You don't have to drive under the influence. I mean, if you're at a place and you have a car, you take an Uber.
In addition to ride checkpoints by regional police, the OPP are conducting a distracted driving campaign this weekend.
Inattentive and distracted driving is not just about drivers talking on their cell phones. It also includes anything that takes the driver's focus away from driving. We have seen motorists doing a variety of activities from reading to texting. Unfortunately, a lot of drivers underestimate the risks associated with inattentive and distracted driving.
Police bringing out some props today to show the dangers of distracted driving. And with the start of school just a few days away, officials are asking motorists to be extra careful.
According to a new survey by CAA, more than 9 in 10 parents said they have seen 1 or more bad driving habits in a school zone. And those include speeding, illegal parking or stopping, distracted driving, not stopping at marked crosswalks, or not stopping for school buses.
Not stopping for school buses that have its lights flashing can result in a fine of up to $2,000 and 6 demerit points. Now, as we mentioned, if you see a driver you think might be impaired, police want you to report it. But how can you make the call when you aren't supposed to be on your phone while driving? There is an exception.
One exception to the cell phone law, so in terms of using your cell phone while you're driving, you are able to do that and make a 911 call if you see an impaired driver on the road. Some people may not know this, but you are actually able to call. We do consider impaired drivers an emergency in progress, basically.
To some of the other stories we're following tonight, the Cherry Street Bridge is officially open to traffic just in time for the long weekend. The bridge reopened at 7 o'clock tonight, making it the first time pedestrians, vehicles, and cyclists could use it since August 1st. A mechanical failure left it in the up position for almost a month. The bridge is a main artery into the Portlands. The next time you go fill up, you may notice something new stuck on the pump. A new law requiring stations to put up the Ford government's anti-carbon tax stickers is now in effect. Not doing so could land station owners with a hefty fine. So, are gas stations complying? Lisa Sheng takes a look at that.
A message to drivers filling up before the Labor Day long weekend and to the federal government. These stickers, mandatory as of today, are the latest weapon in the province's war against the federal carbon tax. Most gas stations we visited put them up, but if owners don't comply, they could face penalties.
I don't like the idea of having to be fined if something happens to them.
And there are rules about where they have to go.
The stickers must be in prominent location on the top two birds of on here. It should be always displayed.
Two-thirds. Wow.
2/3 of the board should be always be displayed with the carbon tax, and it is showing about even if the sticker is peeled off or it is damaged, we have to order for the new stickers.
Individuals can be dinged up to $500 a day or $1,000 a day for subsequent offenses. It's much higher for corporations.
If it is like a responsibility and if you are missing it and they are fining us, that is a little bit harsh.
In the spring, the Premier said the province would crack down.
We just want to inform the public. This is why the gas prices are going up.
Now, gas stations will get a bit of a grace period. For the first few months, they'll be focusing on compliance and education. Drivers have mixed feelings.
See me? Look, I'm scratching off right now. See?
That's a fine right there.
Is it? Really? It's okay. Just ridiculous, that's all. There's no need for it.
We already pay a fortune for gas and filling up, and they add another tax to it. Just makes it more expensive.
What the stickers fail to mention:
that most of that money that you pay into the federal carbon tax actually gets back to you in the form of your tax return.
Oh, I didn't know that, no. So,
what do you think of the stickers now?
I don't really see the need for them.
The whole sticker situation has been hugely contentious. The official opposition is obviously against it. The Green Party mocked up counter stickers. Even the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, generally pro-government, has slammed the move for being too political.
Granted, the PCs did earmark $30 million to fight the federal carbon tax during the election campaign. Aside from the stickers, they've also launched an aggressive social media campaign, as well as fighting the carbon tax in court. Lisa Sheng, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Nick Sternkovich joins us now for a first look at our forecast. Beautiful day today. I'm sure everyone's hoping that sticks around for the long weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Today we hit 25 degrees under sunny skies. This weekend, a little bit of a mixed bag, but it's not as bad as it sounds. Here's the rundown. So sunny Saturday on tap. We do have to deal with a few showers towards Sunday, Monday, and I'll talk about that coming up in just a bit. And we've got near seasonal temperatures for the weekend. For tomorrow, as I mentioned, sunshine across the board there, and that lasts all the way through the day tomorrow. However, we are watching a system that's approaching that will bring with it potentially some rain showers into Sunday evening and through Monday. For now, though, here's a look at the next 24 hours. 12 degrees tonight, winds lightening up as well. 23 for tomorrow with sunshine. Your full forecast in just a bit.
Thanks, Nick.
You bet.
A funeral will be held tomorrow for the Uxbridge woman killed in the boat crash involving TV personality Kevin O'Leary. Today, Susan Brito's family released a statement saying, "Our family wishes to express our gratitude for the outpouring of support we've received from police, first responders, the medical community, our friends, and the entire Uxbridge community following the tragic death of our wife, mother, daughter, and sister, Susanna Brito." The 48-year-old was a mother of 3 children, aged 12, 11, and 9. 64-year-old Gary Poltash from Florida was also killed. Sources have told CBC News that he was visiting his friend, Dr. Irv Edwards, and was on his wakeboard boat at the time of the crash. This all happened Saturday night near Emerald Island on Lake Joseph. O'Leary says he was a passenger in the other boat. The OPP Criminal Investigations Branch is heading up the police probe. They have not said whether speed or alcohol were factors in the collision, and no charges have been laid. Police say they are looking for anyone who has video from the area from around the time of the crash. The province's waterways have already seen 11 deaths this year. And this weekend, police will be stepping up their patrols, hoping to prevent any more tragedies. It comes as officials are looking into whether it should be made mandatory to wear a life jacket while aboard a boat. As Shannon Martin shows us, just having one nearby isn't enough.
It's a message we've heard for years. Wearing life jackets or PFDs saves lives, but for some reason, it doesn't seem to be sinking in. Barbara Byers with the Life Saving Society says the stats prove it again and again.
80 to 90% of people who drown when they're boating did not have a life jacket on.
Right now, you only have to have a life jacket on board. You don't actually have to be wearing it.
So if you think you can reach and grab your life jacket and put it on when you're going to be thrown in the water, well, you're probably wrong, because you're not. It's just like thinking when you're driving a car, I can put my seatbelt on if I'm about to get into a head-on collision.
It can be a split-second thing, right?
Yeah.
Accidents happen, it comes out of the blue.
Right.
Thinking you can grab a life jacket and put it on, you might be already in the water.
Well, exactly, and it's not necessarily that you've done anything wrong. People say, well, I've been boating my whole life, I know what I'm doing. Well, yeah, but things happen.
In order to change that sort of behavior of not wearing life jackets, do you think we need to see something like at the federal level to just make life jackets mandatory?
Well, at the Life Saving Society, we would support mandatory law, but primarily, like for all vessels, but primarily the smaller vessels that are under 6 meters. So those are the vessels where most of the fatalities occurs. People wear life jackets. I think, well, I know that the statistics would be very, very small, and I think people think of life jackets as those big orange keyhole ones, like from old movies like Titanic.
This is an inflatable life jacket. It's
Right.
a lot smaller from the ones I remember back when we were kids.
Exactly. Like many people are surprised that these even exist. So it's light, you just slide it over your shoulders, you just buckle it in, you just make sure it fits across. If I fell in the water and I needed the flotation, I would just pull this and inflate it. So I can show you if you like.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is more than enough flotation to keep me in the water. And here's the cartridge that I had used, so I would have to replace that cartridge now, but it means I have flotation in the water, and there's lots of flotation, so I could float for a very long time.
With this being a lot easier than riding a bicycle, same with the scooters, you're not sweaty when you get to work, it becomes very appealing.
E-scooters are coming to Toronto. The province is launching a 5-year pilot project that would allow them on the roads. But not everyone is happy. We've got reaction coming up. Toronto Public Schools will offer free menstrual hygiene products to students beginning this fall. It's part of a growing movement to end what's known as period poverty among girls and to break down barriers to education. School board trustees voted this week to provide menstrual products in all secondary and elementary schools across the city. The board will partner with the Ontario wing of a national organization called Physical Health and Education Canada, which has a relationship with suppliers of pads and tampons. The initiative will come at no cost to the TDSB. Consultations on bringing e-scooters to Ontario are being extended. That's after some organizations for people with disabilities raised concerns about plans to start a pilot project in September. Lorenda Redekop explains.
E-scooters could be coming soon to bike lanes like this one and all across the province. The province has released its proposals for an e-scooter pilot project. It would last 5 years. They'd be allowed where bikes operate, prohibited on highways. The minimum operating age for these would be 16. Helmets would be required for people under 18. You couldn't have any passengers, and then the maximum speed would be 32 kilometers an hour. These e-scooters, they're incredibly popular all around the world, but some people love them, others hate them, and one of the concerns is with safety. We heard from advocates for people with disabilities. They worry because they're pretty silent, and then they also go so fast, as I mentioned, 32 kilometers an hour.
It presents a safety risk to members of the public, including people with disabilities like myself. I'm blind. If they come zipping along at 32 kilometers an hour, are silent or close to silent because they're battery driven. And it's especially a concern because they are a motor vehicle.
People I spoke with here are pretty much in favor, but one thing that was mentioned is that this bike lane, for example, the speed limit is 20 kilometers an hour.
As somebody who does like electric transportation, I am definitely on board. I think with the amount of traffic congestion that we have, that a lot of it would get relieved by people having an alternative.
I really like them. I use them a lot. They're super easy. You know, you don't have to check any public transportation, no taxes. You just find a scooter here, you take it to your door, and you just have to make sure you've parked it somewhere safe and correct.
You have until September 12th to let the Ministry of Transportation know what you think about the idea for an e-scooter pilot project. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
This is Lonnie Bissonnette, and he is quickly becoming an internet sensation because of this video of him skydiving in his wheelchair. And Lonnie, you're going to be making another jump like that tomorrow.
That's right, I'll be jumping into the opening ceremonies for the national championships.
We'll have Lonnie's story coming up.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Skydiving is not for everyone. It takes a lot of courage to launch yourself out of a plane, but imagine how hard it would be if you were in a wheelchair. Greg Ross spoke to a man who's planning to do just that tomorrow at the National Skydiving Championships.
It's a video that's been viewed millions of times on the internet. That's Lonnie Bissonnette jumping out of an airplane in his wheelchair. First of all, you didn't expect that to go viral, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I was pretty surprised. I put it up there just for kind of as a teaser for what we were going to do at Skydive Wasaga Beach.
This was a test run he did a few weeks ago while preparing for one of the biggest jumps of his life.
Yes!
Tomorrow morning, Bissonnette will perform the first jump during the opening ceremonies for the National Skydiving Championships in Wasaga Beach. Tomorrow, it's going to be important to stick that landing again. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people watching.
The pressure will be on, right? So I haven't actually seen the landing area. I hope it's smooth, you know, so that I can put it down nice and soft.
Bissonnette has been skydiving and base jumping for decades. But it was a tragic accident during a base jump 15 years ago that put him in this wheelchair.
We were down in the States and I was logging my jumps and realized that I was about to do my 1100th base jump. So I wanted to do something cool to remember it by and to celebrate it.
2, 1.
He and several friends were planning to jump together off this bridge that is a little under 500 feet in height. Bissonnette was planning a forward-facing quadruple backflip.
When I left, I just was flipping too slow. Came down to time to open and I rushed the deployment, and the pilot chute, which is part of the parachute, opened up and just wrapped around my foot and never had a chance to fully open.
Bissonnette hit the river below hard.
The first thing that went through my mind was, God, that hurt. And then the next thing was, I need to get out of the water. And when I went to move to try to swim up out of the water, I couldn't move anything.
He says somehow he managed to get to the surface to get a couple of breaths before sinking back down. It was just enough to keep him alive before his friends could rescue him about 2 minutes later. The next thing he remembers is waking up in the hospital.
And the first question I had from my doctor was, after I looked at myself, and I said, you know, how long do you think it'll be before I can jump?
Bissonnette had a broken neck, multiple broken vertebrae, and severe damage to his spinal cord. He was first diagnosed as a quadriplegic.
She just looked me straight in the eye and said, I'm sorry, you've suffered a spinal cord injury, you're paralyzed, and you'll never jump again.
But he has since regained all of the function in his arms and some of the function in his legs. And despite the original diagnosis, he was back to skydiving again in less than a year.
It took me 10.5 months to do my first parachute jump, which was actually a skydive with my son.
He's been base jumping and skydiving ever since, but rarely does he do it with his wheelchair. He designed special straps to keep him secure in the chair and even a special parachute for the chair just in case he has to release it. Greg Ross, CBC News, St. Catharines.
Nick's back now with our extended forecast, and in addition to the long weekend, I'm sure lots of people are also wondering about the first day of school.
Yeah, that's right. First day of school looking pretty good in between now and then. As I mentioned off the top, a few showers, but overall not a bad forecast, certainly as we head toward the end of the summer. Dare I say it. Through the next 24 hours, as I mentioned, lots of sunshine in the forecast. So clear skies tonight. That will allow temperatures to drop, though, through the overnight to more seasonal values. By tomorrow evening, still looking at clear skies. However, into Sunday, we're watching some cloud cover move in with another system that's approaching the GTA. Now, the model's really sort of undecided about the timing of the storm system. Originally, it was looking like more of a Saturday night, Sunday event. Now it's sort of pushed toward Sunday evening into Monday morning. So with that being said, I got a chance of showers, spotty showers through Sunday afternoon. Looks like most of it coming Sunday night into Monday, and then a few spotty showers on Monday. But I think the bulk of the rain is really going to fall through the overnight Sunday into Monday. Winds are going to lighten up as well by tomorrow morning. Still gusting gusting to about 30 kilometers per hour, but by the afternoon, pretty much light winds, and that's going to carry us through the weekend. Today we hit 25 degrees, as I mentioned off the top there. Overnight tonight, temperatures dropping partly because of the drier air and partly because of the clear skies as well. So 12 degrees, which is about seasonal through the overnight. As we move through tomorrow, highs to about 23 degrees. That's just a hair below seasonal, but pretty much on the mark. Golden Horseshoe looks pretty much the same through tonight. Temperatures around 11, 12 degrees under clear skies. And then as we move through tomorrow afternoon, again, highs of about 23 degrees. Looks like a great day, by the way, if you're planning on heading out and catching the air show for tomorrow. Long-range forecast like this. So I mentioned the 23 there. Overnight lows starting to get a little bit warmer. Sunday and Monday, again, about a 40% chance of seeing showers. Can't totally rule it out, but I think we'll see spotty showers on both days. Most of the rain coming through the overnight. Back to school, you asked about it, 24 degrees and a mix of sun and cloud, a bit of rain on Wednesday.
Looks good. Thanks, Nick. The Toronto Argonauts' newest recruit stands 4 feet tall and weighs in at 50 pounds. 7-year-old Darius Rasso is a football fan who's been battling leukemia. And yesterday he signed a one-day contract with the CFL team.
Here goes Rasso. He's got midfield. He's got a couple of blockers in front of him as well. A diving attempt by Alden Darby Jr. is not going to work. He's got James Wilder Jr. in front of him. Rodney Smith with the final block to the 5. Touchdown! Darius Rasso to the house.
First time on the field with his new team and his first career touchdown. After a morning of team meetings and news conferences, Rasso was off and running. The Argos GM says they're thrilled to have a player of Rasso's stature on the roster. He even managed to outrun the defense for 65 yards. It's no wonder they call him Rasso Dazzle. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. As we leave you, take a look at this. The Royal Canadian Air Force tweeting this video out today. It shows the spectacular view of our city from up high in a snowbird plane. The snowbird's flying alongside the RAF Red Arrows today. You can catch the air show at the CNE all weekend until Monday. Good night.